¿Cómo estás?
Hello, good morning. My name is Luisa-Ruiz.
I'm wilkaroig.
And well, we belong to ekrmexico and
Elisabeth-Kübler Foundation, Central Mexico.
so we're here in Pátzcuaro for the Artofagooddeath workshop.
And so we have invited Ian-McCartor, who is a legacy songwriter, and Carlos Chancellor, who's an archetypal psychologist. And with Luisa and we will all be taking the participants through a journey of self-discovery with some experiential exercises to uncover what gets in the way of appreciating and enjoying fully a good life until the very end.
Thank you and welcome.
Their conflict was their conflict. It is not mine.
It's thinking about this, no? That we are here for a really small period of time.
And what I have seen is, we cannot generalize for anything, that some people who have a very strong dogmatic faith have not questioned anything about it. They've assumed it to be true their whole lives because it was told to them, because their parents, their families. And then it's only at the time of death, or near death, that they, for the first time, question, what if it's not true? And what if there is no God? What if there is no heaven? ¿Y ahora qué? No? So this panic also sets in for some people. So I think it's really a very subjective thing. But I do, in my observation, especially with the traditions of Eastern traditions with reincarnation, it is so set into their philosophy of life and into their everyday, and I think this is an important point. They don't just think about it at the end of life, they're thinking about it all the time. They have an easier time.
So I heard that story and I'm like, you just never know what's going to hit you or what's going to happen today or tomorrow. You know, I'm 30 now and I'm like, well, hopefully I'll live till I'm 90 or 100 or something, you know, it could happen. But when I saw him in that bed, it showed me that I have no control at all. At all. Like every minute of every day, something could happen. Even this little machine that I'm in could, one thing, gone. And it challenged me to surrender. And with the potential of that brevity always there, to just be here now and to really abide with gratitude. And to have that perspective practiced to the day of death, I think is a really powerful thing. Just practicing gratitude and respect that it could change it any day. And, you know, like you've seen, and we've seen, it's the people that have practiced a life of that kind of respect that die the best. And I don't say that anybody has a bad death, but I think they die the most serenely and happily.
You're right, yes.
And satisfied. Because they see each day as a gift as it is. And as so many times we forget it is.
But the story, even if you hear what everybody's been sharing, the drumbeat of the story continues, and will continue all through this period. There's going to be a lot moving. The medicine of a story is precisely when you don't quite get it. That's the medicine. You brood on it. The emotion comes up and you don't know why.
What was moving to me was actually discovering that I open my chest and offer my heart.
Yes.
Cool.
It's that shift that happened. It happened already. Whether I chose it or not, the story took me to that point of full surrender. So it was a surprise to me, but also a relief that I could I could do that, you know, that I have the capacity to do that. And so I am sure that having gone through this imaginal journey, each of us, we have reached a new level of surrender, even if we're not fully aware of it right now.
If you're in touch with that potential and you're on the road and you're resonant with who you are because of that fact, to be like, am I today doing what I know I need to do? Yes or no? I could die much more at peace today because at least I know I'm on the right track.
Feeling of letting go of ego is what I felt. Was he's shedding all the things that he was clinging to.
It's like we assign ourselves all this identity through our lives, and then when you die, it's like you're just human. And I see so many people just like, oh, I worried about all this stuff and who I thought I was and who I pledged allegiance to, but off I go. And there's many times this like relief, like you said, like people don't have to worry about that anymore. And it's like their ego just kind of floats away.
And you said you can deal with the pain, but the annihilation. And that's exactly because the pain physical was the first part. Once that's over with, that's kind of easy, you know. Then comes the really difficult stuff. That annihilation, right? But first you have to, pain is kind of a road to it.
Point is that we have been removed from so many things that are part of our human instinct and our human nature. And part of engaging with death brings us back in touch with that, which is, you know, that we also are nature. And in these processes, we used to more readily review life and what happened and what worked and what didn't work and how to change things. And in the same way that we did it with our crops, there's a way in which we also were doing it with ourselves. The places where we are as a human community still connected with these cycles, we are much more aware of that everything that we do for ourselves, we are also doing for our community and for the larger whole. And so going back to, we have been removed from that more natural review, that then what happens, or what often happens or tends to happen nowadays, is that we don't contemplate a lot of things. Well, some of us do, you know, like, but you know, but in general, we're not openly being invited to contemplate. And in fact, if we're going through a loss and going through grief, we need to get over it, and we need to get back to be functioning, and we better not infect anyone with our darkness, right? And so there's less room for these reviews. And what happens is that more often than not, we come to our deathbed, and then all of a sudden, inevitably, we go through a life review. We are thinking, am I ready to go? And I am facing the fact that I'm going to go whether I'm ready or not, but then all of a sudden I have an inquietude or longing to talk about certain things, resolve certain things, connect with people I'd been disconnected from, fix things that I feel that I, you know, did wrong, all of these things. And so to practice a life review on a more regular basis, once a year, you know, maybe at the winter solstice or at the end of the year or right before your birthday, I don't know, whatever makes sense to you, at every new moon if you're so inclined, just allows us to be more at ease with who we are, where we have been, what we have done, and all of this, so that when the time comes, there's much less of those unexpected discomforts that call and scream for our attention.
What makes the difference between those that enter into fear or enter into satisfaction comes down to what they did.
Comes down to what?
To what they did in life. Just simply how they served, how they contributed, and how truly they did that. Like if you spent your life in conflict, or like just not quite in that place where you're able to give as much as you can, that brings up a lot in the end. But the people that have been most satisfied were the people that served with love, and they served the people that they had to serve, and they did what they had to do, and they did it the way they knew they had to. And in a sense, like, that never dies. you know, that's the ripple that carries on for eternity, really.
And what bubbled up was regret and guilt. And I was able to express to her that feeling and from where it came from very easily, which was also very strange. And then I also listening to her and both family affairs also that related. And it was a relief and a sense of joy. It was very nice. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you all. So I feel so blessed over and over to be sitting at these kinds of circles and to realize over and over how powerful they are, how deep they can go, and at the same time, the lightness and the love that comes with them. You know, here I am thinking, I bet you all the people who thought, that sounds like the last thing I ever want to do, go to a workshop that talks about good death, right? You know, when I started advertising Death Cafe, one person took the time and the effort to communicate with me via email to say, what a god-awful name. And that's all the person did. Just let me know that whatever I was doing had the worst title ever. And a lot of people shy away from the word death, you know, and they are assumed to be difficult conversations, you know, but we create the space, we are willing to become vulnerable, we open up to each other and discover there's so much more. Yeah, so I want to thank you all for trusting us, Luisa and me and Carlos and Ian, to guide you through this, and trusting the boys over here with their cameras to be guided and to contribute in such meaningful way.
And I also want to draw attention and honor to the magic of this work, as was represented by almost everybody mentioning how fascinating who I was paired with. You know, it's like it had to be that particular way. It says, as you said, the divine time, synchronicity, magic, the kairos, whatever you want to call it. Whenever you're working with these things, there's always some other sort of like, this is how it had to be. So just know, I was noticing that everybody's like, I was amazed at such and such was my partner. How could you? I had the perfect partner. You know. So just a little honor to that little magic, what have you, that is holding us as well.
Yes, thank you.